One shot to your heart without breaking your skin. No one has the power to hurt you like your king. Kept it inside, didn't tell no one else. Didn't even wanna admit it to yourself. And now your chest burns and your back aches from 15 years of holding the pain. Now you'll always have yourself to blame if you continue to live this way. Get it together. Your body. Get it together. Heal your heart. Whatsoever you sow, you will reap. Get it together. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. It's a beautiful, shiny day. Dark future ahead of me. That's what they said. I'd be starving if I ate all the lies they fed. 'Cause I've been redeemed from your anguish and pain. A beautiful child, I'm floating on a cloud. 'Cause the words that come from your mouth, you're the first to hear. Speak words of beauty and you will be there. No matter what anyone says, what matters most is what you think of yourself. Get it together. Hi. Thank you for joining me. Greetings, good day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are and whenever you watch this video. It's always a pleasure to be here, always a pleasure to share and to just commune and communicate with you. I want to talk today about a little bit more about my incubator, my Fertility Secrets incubator, but also talk about the consequences of choosing to wait. Right? So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with me and who I am, my name is Odessa. I am a women's wellness coach. I have over 18 years of study and practice under my belt, and I specifically these days help IVF candidates and women over the age of 30 who are suffering with chronic reproductive health conditions to prepare their bodies for pregnancy in the next 12 months using my 3-phase womb cleanse protocol. And this work is very specific in that it can also help you if you are working with fertility clinics, if you're working with doctors and you're going for your next rounds. It isn't something that you just have to do on your own. This is work that you can do also with your primary caregivers. So when you make a decision, well, we're always making decisions, right? Like every day, every morning, every afternoon, you make a decision what time you're going to get up, if you're going to get up on time, if you're going to, wear blue, if you're going to wear gray, if you're going to eat this food or you're going to purchase something instead of cooking. We're always making decisions, and sometimes we delay on our decisions because we need more time to think, because we need to weigh the pros and cons of the choice that we're going to make, because we need to do background checks. We need to, understand the scope and the magnitude of what it is that we're investing in. And that's completely understandable. It's important. As a matter of fact, I myself am the type of person, if I've made the decision to work with a coach, and I've had many coaches for different reasons, if I make the decision to work with a coach, you can bet your bottom dollar that I have stalked the internet, reading every single bit of information about them, going over their website, watching their lives, reading their posts, really trying to get an understanding and a feel for what this person does. And I don't blame anyone for doing that. And I think it's important to do that. Whereas I'm usually very anal and thorough, I have had some moments of not choosing the right person, and it happens, but I really take pride in the time that I take to do the research. But what I also recognize in my own decision making and in the decision making of, people in general, is that there are usually excuses, not just reasons, but sometimes there are excuses that are stopping us from making decisions, right? Sometimes making a decision means that you have to put yourself in a vulnerable place. And putting yourself in a vulnerable place can mean that you now have to learn how to develop your weaknesses and not only rely on your strength, right? And oftentimes, women who I work with, who I'm attracted to, tend to be super women in their own right. They know that they can do it. They're very able. They're very independent. And, I don't necessarily need the support of, you know what I mean? Or I can do it by myself. So learning to lean into your weaknesses is a good thing. It's something that needs to be considered on that journey. It's going to put you in a place of discomfort. And are you prepared to be in a place of discomfort? Meaning that you are going to learn something new. You're going to learn how to develop parts of yourself that you may not even have known that, needed developing. Face areas of yourself that you may not have spent time facing and developing, specifically and especially if you're on this particular journey, right, of trying to have a baby. Because as we know, and as I've mentioned before, there's just a lot of different kinds of obstacles that you're facing. It's easy to say, okay, well, I'm going to trust the science. But the thing about science is that it always gives us data. And when you're making decisions, you have to look at the data. And if the data is telling you that you're not getting the results that you're getting, right, the strengths that you're leaning on may not be enough to pull you through to the other end. So you have to look at what options are there, right, and not be afraid of that. And you need to give yourself permission to do that. Another consequence that I have found comes with the decision to not join or to not take that step is that you start blaming yourself, right? This is what starts to happen. You start blaming yourself for the situation that you're in, that you can't get out of, that you seem to be turning in. And it's a good reason to get stuck, especially if you are a giving person. Giving people tend to overextend themselves. And this puts you in a place oftentimes of feeling contempt for your situation, feeling contempt towards the other people who you have been serving, and not purposefully, right, but circumstantially, because you've given so much from a cup that isn't filled, right? And so you inadvertently create thieves out of the people around you, right? So then you begin to blame yourself. Well, is it me? Is it because of me, right? Like you've become almost like a victim, and so it's an unhealthy place to be in, but oftentimes many of us do it. I have done it, and I can say that most of the things I'm talking about are things that I've experienced myself, decisions that I've chosen not to move on because of the level of discomfort that is going to put me through, right? And so within that, there's like this thought of like, well, you don't think that you can even spend that money on yourself. You shouldn't take the time, to put into yourself. And this is also true if you already have children, if you already, have gone through the process of giving birth, and you might be experiencing secondary infertility, or even just primary infertility, and it's like, well, can I spend this money on me? Should I spend this money on me? Am I even worth it? Does the situation call for it? Well, if you need to do something for yourself, you have to really recognize and understand, like, weigh the pros and cons. What are you getting yourself into, and what does the situation require? Because different situations require different things. And I can tell you for a fact that, this is a very involving process. Nobody is perfect and no thing is perfect, but this is a very involving process, and it requires a level of self-sacrifice, giving yourself that permission to move through, move on, and move beyond where you are. The other consequence that comes with that is that you get to maintain your unhealthy or bad or not so great lifestyle habits, right? I'm not knocking those that, maintain this, but by making the decision to not move forward and to not move beyond where you are, you're giving yourself permission to stay comfortable. You're giving yourself permission to maintain whatever it is that you're doing. Well, I've got it. I know exactly. Hey, girl, how you doing? I'm giving myself that permission to, start and stop, because I've been doing it on my own. I've been gathering up the tools that I need. I've been doing whatever it is that is needed to, that I've done the research. You know what I mean? I have this information. And so I'm going to create my own transformation, which is possible to do. But especially if you're living with a level of complexity, if your circumstance is complex and it has layers, and you don't have the accountability to walk you through the process and bring you to the end, what happens is, you stay stuck, and you give yourself permission to start and stop, because this is your habit. This is what I do, so that pattern of self-care never actually completes the loop, right? And as I mentioned in my previous videos, this work that we're doing, this Fertility Secrets and Womb Wisdom Incubator, the level of self-care that is required of you goes way beyond what you have considered before. It's more than your 5-minute affirmation in the morning time, or just, taking this one and done tincture. So that's another thing I wanted to mention as well too. I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine today, and I was telling her, because I just sent out some more medicine to some of my other clients, and I was explaining to her, and I said, sis, I sent you some medicine. And she says, okay, cool. And then she says, like, what's the whole big fuss about? And I said, okay, well, I sent you a really big jar of medicine. And she was like, why? And I said, and I explained to her the amount that's in there, and I said, well, this is what you're taking over this amount of time. And she was bugging. She was like, what? And I said, yeah, people tend to think like, okay, I'm going to go and buy this Greens Plus powder, and I'm going to take this medicine, and you have this bottle in your cupboard for 6 months. You know what I mean? And you're just taking it bit by bit because you want it to stretch and you want it to last. That's not how we work. That's not how it works. It's not, you can start it and stop it and take a little bit, and then you're questioning why this is not working for you. It's because you're not doing it right. Right. And so by making the decision to not take that step and get the support and the help that you need, you don't know what it is that you're missing. You don't know that you're not taking the tincture right. You don't know that you're not taking the right herbs. You don't know that, the results that you have are incomplete. You might be getting some results, but the full process looks very different, right? So it gives you the excuse to maintain the level of comfort that you've been at. And so it's, and I get it, because you can also, there's that fear of investing in something and not getting the results that you signed up for, especially that vulnerable state of being in. It's like, okay, well, there's a particular meditation that we do, a motherhood meditation, where you actually fly your plane, and you've got to land your plane in the land of motherhood. You know what I mean? Like, it may not work. This process may not work for me, and I may not be able to land my plane in that land of motherhood. You know what I mean? And so this is a huge fear, and I get it, like it proves what your deepest fears are. I made the decision to stretch myself and to step out on a limb, and it didn't work for me. That, these are thoughts that we go through, but I can guarantee you that the kind of support that you're getting here doesn't support that kind of mentality. The other thing that I know that might be stopping you from investing is that level of financial investment that you've got to put in. Like you might think that your money is wasted, but I can tell you that there's no money that is wasted when you're coming into this program, because this is not about a one and done, right? And it's very, very important that you understand that the dangers of the one and done is that you have that moment with your therapist, with your practitioner, with your doctor, whomever it is, and then you go back home to do the work and you still have a lot of questions. There are a lot of unanswered questions. Well, what happens after this? Well, this is happening to me now. What do I do? How can I maintain this? What's the next step? This is coming up now for me, and this was not what we talked about. I'm looking online to see if I can find some answers, but I'm getting all kinds of other information. You know what I mean? Like when you are investing in a program, when you're investing in a high ticket coaching program, when you are coming to someone who has a curriculum that's in place, a proven method and a proven protocol that's in place, you've got to know that you're putting your time, your money, your attention, your being, and your journey into the hands of someone who is capable of helping you to go through that process, right? So I can totally and completely understand, but if you've never given yourself that chance to invest, right? And as someone who has invested in numerous high ticket programs, I can tell you, if you have never given yourself permission, right, to invest and implement, for you to be able to move up and onto that next level, is that something completely different, because I'm not giving you just the food, right? This is not about, I'm just handing something over to you. This is about, you're learning how to fish, right? So by not investing, you are not learning how you yourself can cultivate your own wellness. You yourself are not getting the tools, the know-how, the experience of someone who has been there, has done it, has created, has offered it, has had success. You don't get that, right? Because you're going to end up piecemealing the information that you've got, because you don't have that transformative journey that you can go on. Like, these are expensive questions. Like, what do you have to lose? Another round of IVF. That's for sure. Because it's getting expensive. The procedure, the appointments, the medication, the transfers, all of this, implantation, it's $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 around, right? And so if you know that your body is not in that position, you've trusted the science before, you've trusted your doctors before, they've said to you, that's not a problem, you can do this work and you're going to get great results, we're going to be able to do this. And I've heard people tell me this, they've worked with, clinics over X amount of time, and it's like, yes, you're going to get the results that you wanted, and like they're moving with doubts, and what happens? Your doubts are fulfilled. You know what I mean? And so what is the response? Well, you can do another round if you want to. You can try another round before we move on to the next option. And it's like, okay, well, if you are going to take your hard-earned money, right, and you're going to, go for your second or third round, fourth, even fifth round of IVF, and you are not taking the time to prepare yourself, and these are failed cycles every single time, you're losing. So taking, a 4-figure investment to put into, your health and wellness, to prepare yourself in advance. This is important. Preparing for pregnancy in advance is a thing. It's the lick, y'all. It's the new culture. You just didn't know that. There are other options that you can explore and experiment. You know what I mean? But you won't know this because you haven't invested in this. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to the naturopath, and the naturopath is going to give you some really great examples. But you know what? The naturopath is not going to be able to, the naturopathic doctor, I should say, most of them don't have the thorough background, right, to be able to create the mindset process for you. Most of them, the way that they work with medicine is not as thorough as how this program is, I can tell you. Okay, we've got, 1,000 ml bottles of medicine. We've got 800 grams of medicine. Like, this is hardcore stuff that we're doing. This is really, really intense work that we're going through. You're losing out on a lifetime of questions. What could I have done? What would have happened if I took the chance, if I took the time to explore this option thoroughly, 100%, and in a committed fashion? Would I have had a different result? I don't know. I'll never know, right? Like, we've got so much pressure, on you to perform. You've got so much pressure on you that you're putting on yourself. You're putting this pressure on yourself. Your partner might be putting pressure. You might have your in-laws, your mother-in-laws, who are telling you that they want their grandbabies. They want to see, their prodigy. They want to see their legacies born, and you're not giving yourself a chance. You're not giving yourself that chance to work with a qualified registered practitioner, therapist, who has thorough knowledge and information on this work. So I just wanted to come in and just talk about that, because like, there are real consequences to this. Like, there's the time, there's the permission that you're not giving yourself, that freedom of saying, okay, I am going to invest in this for me. When was the last time you invested in something for you, in your health and well-being? Like, really and truly, you know what I mean? Like, not something just like a one-off here and a one-off there, but really and truly something from point A to point B. Like, you can see and understand what the process is going to be and where it's going to bring you. It's going to bring you closer to, very much closer to that goal and that dream that you're striving towards. So I really wanted to just come on and encourage you to apply for the Fertility Secrets and Womb Wisdom Incubator, and let's have that conversation. Sitting down together and walking through the process, the MAP process, as I explained to you, the BOM process, and the feminine protocol, really allows you as a woman that chance to do that self-reflective work, because when you go back to your partner, you're reflecting with your partner differently. When you engage with your work, you're reflecting differently. When you go back to your primary caregiver, to your doctor, when you start that fertility process, it's not the same. It is not the same. One of my clients, she asked me, she said, well, what is this going to do for me? What is the difference for me? And I said, the last time you did this process, the last time you went for your IVF cycle, you didn't have any preparation. You didn't know what you could have done better. It's, how are you feeling now? When I do a lot of reflective questions, and I ask a lot of questions on a 0 to 10, on a 0 to 10, where you were now and where you are, and where you were and where you are now. And she told me, like, one of the questions, it was on a 9. That was a level of pain. That was a level of discomfort. This is what I was feeling every single time, I went through this. This is what I was feeling when I went through my cycle. And now, where are you at? You're at a 1 on 10. Sis, you're at a 1 on 10. You were not at a 1 on 10 the last time you went for your IVF cycle. You know what I mean? So there's something that has changed. The metrics have changed. The needle has moved on your health. And so for a fact that you're doing the work that is required to support you so you can get the results that you so desire, right? So I want to encourage you to apply. And when you apply, before we get on our suitability call, you actually get the pregnancy prep assessment test. And this test helps us to determine, or helps you to determine, where the gaps are on your journey and what it is that you need to do to fill in those gaps to get to where you want to be. And then we can determine from there if this is a good fit for you. So I want to encourage you to connect with me. I would love to have these conversations with you. I would love to know where you're at. You can send me a DM. And I'm looking forward to talking with you. So I wish you all a wonderful afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are. And I will be back again soon. Be well. Bye-bye.